Episode we are going to travel to the West Africa and we are going to Uganda. Hello everyone and welcome to Roadmap 54, the podcast that talk about Africa and what African people they are doing across the continent. Today episode we are going to travel to the West Africa and we are going to Uganda. Let me see few curiosities about Uganda. Okay. Uganda is popularly known as the Pearl of Africa. I hope I say right. Is located in the West Africa. As I said, it is a landlocked country bordered by Kenya in the west, Tanzania in the south, Rwanda in the southwest, Democratic Republic of Congo in the west, and Sudan in the north. Uganda has two sanctuaries to more than half of the world's main mountains gorilla. If someone wants to go and see gorillas, you can go to Uganda. With over 56 ethnic groups, Uganda cultural diversity is reflected in its language, traditions, music, and dance. The official language are English and Swahili is teaching at school. But apart of English, that is the official language, and Swahili, Uganda have their own African language too. And our guest today will talk a little bit about more things and the language of Uganda. Uganda's Lake Victoria is the world's second largest inland freshwater lake by size. Uganda is also known for being the source of the Nile River, which is historically and geographically significant. Well, we have few curiosity about Uganda, and as we can see and listen and hear, Uganda is a very amazing country, and I invite you all to go and visit this beautiful place. And today from Uganda, I will have someone I will have someone very special for me. It is a friend of mine, and I would like to introduce you guys Blessing. Hi Blessing, how are you? My lady from Uganda.
Hi, Eliza. How are you? I'm very excited to be here. I thought that we're going to speak Portuguese, but clearly you're speaking English, so I'm very excited.
You know that if I start to speak in Portuguese, you can understand me, right?
No, I won't understand.
How are you, Blessing? How is the weather today in Uganda?
I'm very fine. You have dragged me to office today. Today I don't go to office, but I had to come for this special occasion. I'm very glad to be hosted by yourself. The weather in Uganda is rainy. This is a rainy season, so it rains from morning, then it's very hot for a particular period of time, then rains like at 2, then rains at 6. Usually it is raining throughout the day and also raining at night. So this is a time when people actually start planting because it rains until December, and then they can start harvesting after 3 months.
Oh, wow. It is too much rain.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, but better than myself, I think you are the person that can introduce a little bit about you. Who is this beautiful young lady Blessing? What she like to do? I would like first of all you introduce yourself, and after we can talk a little bit more about Uganda and my curiosity about the language that they are spoken, the African language, by the way, that they are spoken in Uganda.
Uh, well, my name is Blessing Omcha Immaculate. I Most people call me Blessing. It's the easiest name to use. In my traditional home, they call me Mogisha because it's a short name of. It means blessing, but also it's my short name for my surname. I literally have the same names, almost the names that mean the same thing. Yeah, I am a lawyer by profession. Um, I've been in practice for the last, I think, close to more than 10 years. I do litigation, but specifically, currently, I do trade facilitation as my line of work. What that means is that I assist different businesses to be able to comply, to get markets, to make sure that they're growing, their different businesses. Aside that, I love singing. I'm not the best singer, but I sing, um, specifically in church for God. I also am a born again Christian. I teach children at my home church called Fanero Ministries. On top of that, I am Munyankole by tribe. I come from southwestern Uganda. I have both parents. We are siblings. We are four siblings, two girls and two boys. And I am a middle child. I always like mentioning that I adopted two children, two beautiful children, Christian and Ivana, and I was very excited. Christian was the best in his class last term, so it gives me a lot of joy. That was his first time to be in school, so it gives me a lot of joy. What I do in my free time, I like doing volunteering work. I do a lot of volunteering work. Every time you see me in a space where I'm not doing work to make money, I'm volunteering for something. I am training communities, I'm reaching out, I'm mentoring people. That's what I like doing with my free space. But I also like hanging out with friends. I used to like watching movies, but I think I've outgrown those. And I like playing a sport. I used to play basketball, but not anymore. I think I've aged also, but I like playing a sport, whether it is football. I actually lead a Rotaract corporate league. It's a league for people, different professions in Rotaract that are currently trying to support children with cancer through playing a sport and raising money. So that's the brief about me. Also, the other interesting fact about me is that I think I'm taller than all my friends, and most of the girls, most of the girls surely, I'm really way taller than them, and also almost taller than other men. So probably they could use me to like put up bulbs in houses, and yeah, I could support them in that line. Yeah, that's it about me.
Wow, I really love to hear about your blessing, and I love the part that you are taller. And by the way, you are really taller than the most part of
Yeah,
the girl. This is true.
thank you.
This is very true. And let us talk a little bit more about Uganda. Uganda have like 56 tribes, and I think it is the same as here in Angola that each tribe there have their own language. Particularly in your tribe, what is the language that you guys speak?
Well, okay. In my language, for me, I'm a Munyankole from southwestern Uganda. So we speak Lunyankole. So our name really comes from, our language comes from the name. When you hear the language that we speak, there are also tribes in other countries where we can understand what they're saying. For example, there's a component, a tribe in Tanzania that almost speaks our language, so we can easily pick what they are saying. Because I think eventually the people that migrated to scattered in different countries, so the Bantu speaking, where we fall, also settled in parts of Tanzania, in parts of, they call it Karagwe. Then they also settled in parts of Kenya. So we have a component in different parts. But even in southwestern Uganda alone, there are more than, I think, maybe 18 other tribes that speak a different language. There's a similarity. If they're speaking, you can easily pick a few things, but there's a big difference in the way they communicate in generally the greater Western region. But what puts these different regions. So we have four regions in Uganda. We have the Western region, the Bantu speaking, who almost have the same, even the way they grow up, it's almost the same features. They're either tall and maybe a particular color, speak almost the same languages. Then there's also Central. Now Central is where the capital city is. Mainly, they are also Bantu speaking, but a bit unique in the way they communicate. But also their languages a bit have a similarity. But the main language is Luganda, which is shared by the biggest component of Central. Then there is Northern Uganda, those are the Nile Hamites. Those also speak a very unique language which we do not understand. The Bantu speaking do not understand, but most of them easily understand each other. Now, that's also a component of a group that speaks Kiswahili because some of them are on the border, so they do a lot of trade with Kiswahili speaking people if they're not educated. So then there's of course the Eastern region that has also Bantu speaking, but also unique to them. They understand each other, but for us, we don't understand them. So those are the segments that build up the 56, more than 56 now, because we also recognize the people that come from Rwanda as long as they have stayed for a particular period of time in the country. They are recognized as natives. Yes, so we also add them on the tribes and the communities that we recognize in Uganda.
Oh wow! I think Uganda story is very it is very strong as all African story. And Blessing, do you know how to speak one of these African language?
I know my language. I know
Okay.
Lunyakole. I also know Luganda. I know over 10 of them. But
Wow!
yes, because
Wow!
I have been to different places. But that's 10 out of 56, so I would still get a retake if I was studying. But the main two languages I know is Lunyankole and Luganda because I stay in Kampala, which is in Central. Then my parents come from Western, which is Lunyankole. So those are the main two languages that I can speak.
Okay. Teach me say good morning in Nyankoleo in Uganda.
Okay, so if you're greeting, you say Agandi.
Agandi.
Yes.
Oh, I like it. Sounds easy, Agandi.
Yes, yes, Agandi. Like everyone will know, Agandi means how are you?
Okay.
Yes. Then when you're responding, you say Ndiaho. If you're fine, you say Ndiaho.
Di Ndiaho.
Ndia, Ndiaho. Yes,
Ndiaho.
yes,
Agandi.
Ndiaho. So
Oh
that
wow.
is the response, yes. Yeah,
Oh
but the
my.
easiest one that you will hear people say is Jebaleko because that's the commonest language.
Okay. Jebaleko.
Aha, so how are you doing?
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Jendi
Jebaleko.
is the response.
Jebaleko. Wow.
Jebaleko,
Uh-huh.
then
Okay.
Jendi is the response.
Wow. What is the response?
Okay, the easiest one is Kale.
Kale.
Yes, Jebaleko, Kale. Okay. How are you doing? I'm okay. Yes, Kale
Wow.
is okay. Yeah.
Oh, I like the language. Sounds very I don't know, like it's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you
And
come together, I will teach you
oh,
more other words,
please.
like asking
Please.
for food.
Yes. Oh, this is an important word to learn. This is
Yes.
very very important. It's like
Yeah.
it's one of the main thing that we need to learn when we are learning a new language. How to greet it and how to ask for food.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
important. Wow. And Blessed, tell me more a little bit about Uganda. What is the thing that you most like in your country or in your culture? Like what is like one thing that you see like this is very Uganda and we will not see it in Africa. Yeah.
I think one of the most important thing I like about Uganda is that we are so hospitable. You see, there are so many things that can bring stress and cause chaos and do what, and those things are already happening in Uganda, just like any other African country. But Ugandans will make fun out of anything. because I think for them, their lives are, they like people, they like celebrating, they like jubilating, they are warm people. So when you come to the airport, when you're coming to Uganda, you might assume that maybe people know you, or they have gotten to know you from a particular place, or maybe you're a celebrity because of the way they treat you. People are always willing to help. People offer hugs to people they do not know. People joke about situations that they do not have to joke about, like maybe there's no food and someone is saying, I have cut maybe tires, guys come and pick tires, and like everything for them, they live each day at a time. And 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 one thing that you should know about Uganda, I think, even with our population of more than 43 million people, we have the youngest population. So you can imagine the things we discuss online, the things we talk about. Yeah, so Uganda is a very happy place. Any person who feels like they're frustrated or what in any country, just come to Uganda. You will realize that's the environment is a bit, totally a bit different. Number two is that Uganda is very endowed. People do not, like, the Google does really underestimates what we have in Uganda. When you travel in Uganda, you will be shocked at the natural resources that we have. You'll be shocked at the animals that we have, at the type of birds that we have. Even in the capital city alone, you'll see flamingos everywhere. Like, it's a very good sight to behold. And I think that's one of the things. The rivers that are there, the lakes that are there. There's Lake Bunyonyi, one of the deepest actually lakes in Africa, that people we have in Uganda. We have what they call Switzerland of Africa. I don't know why Google has not brought that part, but there's a place called Kabale. It has that environment of Switzerland. It's very beautiful, but also its weather. It has that the way Switzerland looks when there's snow. That is how it actually looks when you're in Kabale. You can wake up at maybe 11 and there's still what is it called? There's still that cover that is covering. It's There's still that coldness and also that white cover that comes on. So there's something that is very unique about Uganda, that you just have to experience it. It's easier for you to experience it. Another thing is that Uganda is a very entrepreneurial country. It's actually one of the best entrepreneurial countries in the whole world, not just Africa. There's someone starting up a business somewhere every single day. Um, when you look at the registered companies, in a day, they can register more than 200 companies of Ugandans because they're very entrepreneurial in nature. Of course, I think with the conversation, we'll talk about the rate of growth and death, but at least we are very entrepreneurial in nature. I consider Uganda as a religious country. And I think that's another thing that stands out for us. Everyone belongs somewhere. There are not very many people that don't believe in a particular God. There's a very big component of Muslims, and you find so many mosques everywhere. There's a component of born again Christians. Someone can hold a church and they have over 1 million people that are attending. So they believe in God, and that is why you hear our motto is for God and my country. Even in our national anthem, there's an enlightenment that comes, that people just believe that there's a superpower that is bigger than them and that can change a few things within their lives that they're living. So that's the brief I can give about Uganda.
Wow. Now I really want to go to Uganda. Like really, I need to go there and experience the country by myself and see all of this. And I think you talk about that sometimes we don't find a lot of content about Uganda, or I think this is can be a general problem from African country, that I think we are not producing so much content. We don't have a lot of research about our own country that can be easy for someone go to a Google and found things about our country. As you say, there is like a specific things that they are only from Uganda, and maybe it is difficult. I found on doing quickly research on internet, and maybe it is there, but can be difficult to find because we don't have a lot. And I'm very interesting to talk more about the entrepreneur ecosystem in Uganda, how it's work. And I would like to ask Blessing, do you work directly with entrepreneur because you are a lawyer? And I want to know your sector, that your sector in the law, it is like directly with entrepreneur, or maybe another, I don't know, another sector that you see how it's work.
Okay, so this is how how my work how I moved. Actually, I used to be a litigation lawyer. I would go to court for most of the times, but in 2017 I joined the Uganda National Chamber of Commerce as the Secretary General, and with my skill, this is the private umbrella body for the private sector in Uganda. All the entrepreneurs, SMEs, large, they fall under the Uganda National Chamber of Commerce. So for me, that was the beginning of me directly interfacing with the business people, getting to know the different stages, getting to know what they are dealing with, getting to know their challenges. And then that is when I discovered how I can directly be able to support them directly as their leader at the Chamber of Commerce, but also in my line of work when I'm volunteering. I thought maybe I would be able to create something, a space where they can be able to be supported at that level. So, cutting the story short, I joined the East African Chamber of Commerce as the project coordinator for Uganda, and that is Chamber of Commerce. The East African Chamber of Commerce now takes the whole of East Africa. Still the same concept. There are business people within East Africa. The East African business people face the same challenges, the same problems, but then, of course, there's not a lot of help that comes, especially in terms of because there's resource limitations. And that is why myself and other people decided to create the legal business clinic. We said that on top of people accessing different services that they have to pay for monies that they do not have, let's create a legal business clinic, which is called AYUDA, to support now the entrepreneurs that are just startups, the young ones, the women that are struggling, to get them to a level of them getting the resource. So yes, I directly, professionally in my line of work, because I still work with the South African Chamber of Commerce, I directly work with the business people, but also at Aida Legal Business Clinic, I still directly deal with the legal peoples to translate for them this information to make sure that they're understanding the legal regimes based. Business people are so excited about making money. Some are very passionate, some are excited about making money. But eventually, when you get into the ecosystem, it is not as easy as it looks. You get there and you're excited. I am doing dry fruits, so I am here. Now they came on you so many other things that you did not know. So we discovered that we can actually support them at that level and be able to say, look here, you're making money on this, but there are particular things that you need to know for you to be able to grow your businesses. So that is how me and my other team members, we are able to support them professionally and also voluntarily be able to even issue clinics within the villages to talk about these things, to go into languages that they understand and simplify it, and go to Lunyankole and tell them, you see, you're running this business selling tomatoes, but eventually, if you want to grow, these are things that you must know.
And do you think that people that they start a small business, they really want to be able to grow? I know, like, I know that we want to grow our business, we want to sell more, but sometimes we don't understand how to do that. And I think for entrepreneurs, and understand that the law, it is a headache, like a really headache. I think the
Mm.
law and the economics part, all things about financial part, they are the biggest headache that we can have. um how do you guys help the entrepreneurs, like sit with them and make them understand that this law is specifically for your business, and this is how you can go through it. Do you guys like do kind of mentorship or help them to be like their lawyers in all the process? How it's work?
Okay, so how we do our work starts from actually Parliament. So there are very many laws that come every single day, and they send out calls for feedback. They reach out to us because they know we are dealing with a particular component of entrepreneurs that people do not deal with. So they say we want to pass a competition bill, for example. Please go through it, review it, get feedback from people, simplify it for them, and let's have their input in this competition bill. So we send out, we do camps, and we engage these people and tell them this is what they're trying to introduce. It's protecting consumers, but it is also protecting you, the small people, to give you space to be competitive within the same ecosystem. Then we take them step by step and tell them this clause says this. Are you comfortable with it? How can it be improved? How can it be changed? And we do a bit of some research on in the different other countries to see how they're doing that are excelling at it. What did they do different that we can incorporate within our ecosystem? So that's why we start with our advocacy. We make sure that these startups know something that is happening, so that you don't wake up tomorrow and they're saying, we introduced this tax, you did not know how it was introduced, if they got your opinion on it, and how we are able to debate it. So we support them with the advocacy part of it. We engage the different stakeholders. We engage the legislative team. We engage the support system from governments, the agencies, to make sure that they are putting laws and policies that can facilitate trade within the small enterprises. Number two is that then we reach out and do camps and say, we want to simplify this law for you. It has already been passed, but we know that it's going to affect you, but maybe you've not considered it. So we want to take you in class and tell you what it means for this law to exist, tell you what you need to comply with, tell you how you can comply with. So we do different clinics in different regions, whether it's online or physical. That's something that we get to know. And then we do follow up and say, okay, now if we trained you, how have you changed? Have you started filing returns? Have you started doing this? Have you? And then we include them in our database. We have a database that we use, and we have a tracker that we use. Within that tracker, we're able to tell that Eliza, we talked to her in March. She's supposed to file 5 documents, but she has not filed those documents. Let's reach out to her and ask her what the problem is. And Elisa says, for me, I did not understand it. Then we take her through again. The second time we'll be taking her through, we shall be charging her, because we are providing this free information so that you don't get charged. But every time you don't want to learn and you want to rely on us, it means that you do not want to do it on your own. So you have capacity to actually pay for a service provider. So we start charging you at that level. But the initial levels, all of them are done free of charge. We train your people, you send us people to train, we train you. And we don't just even train you compliance. When people talk about compliance, they're looking at maybe just formalization. I've registered my company and that is it. But we train you in budgeting, in doing proposal writing, in everything that requires you to comply, filing returns, whether they're tax returns, whether they are getting a trading license, everything. So we make you a bankable or scalable company at whatever stage. Now, there's something that you talked about, and that's something that is very common to everyone. People get excited about starting businesses. There are people who just start businesses because they're passionate about it. For me, I like coding. So I know Eliza likes coding. So I'm going to start up a company with my friends. We're going to start coding, train women in coding, and that is it. That is where they stop. And now there's a scenario where Eliza actually has a job somewhere, another job. So they keep getting their salaries and investing them in that business. Whether they are making profit or not, they are not even minding about that. For them, they are focusing on, I like coding, I am going to code. You ask them, you've invested all this money in this business. Monthly, what is the profit? Are you making profit? Are you making loss? Someone tells you, I don't know, but for me, I'm doing what I like doing. So that is not being entrepreneur in nature. Entrepreneur in nature is that I want to grow. I started making losses. I am now on balancing out my books. Now I am going to a level of growth. So we are now making profit. And that is where we see our businesses going. We talk on businesses that are making losses, or they're not sure if they're even making losses, or they're not even minding to compete with the rest of the players in the market. And we say, let's support you legally in a compliance state. Let's protect your copyright. Let's see musicians who are doing songs. How are you writing your music? Are you copyrighted? Yes, I'm not copyrighted. What do I do? Trademarks. So that for you, you focus on making money, but within the ecosystem, you also recognized as a growing entity. So that is basically what we do. Of course, there's a few challenges with that, but we have seen a very good growth. There are people that are getting money, there are people that are pitching now, there are people that have reached out to us and said they have won very big contracts because of the work that we've done to support them.
Wow, I think you guys are doing an amazing work, because for the most part of the entrepreneurs, I think understand how the laws work, and how I can use the laws to make my business grow, or to make my business don't grow, or close my business. It is still very difficult, and I think uh, mainly here in Africa, that like, for example, in my country we don't have laws, and I don't know if in Uganda is the same for startups, because right now, as the world see, when I'm talk about startup, I'm talk kind of about a different kind of business, because the startup have their own stage, and they have their own grow, and etc. And I want to know, in Uganda, do you have like laws for startup? Like the parliament put a law that, okay, all things that we call startup, they need to follow these rules, and not the rules for normal business, normal company. How it's work for you?
Well, startups in a sense of saying that, there are different types of companies. So there are uh, companies limited by share. Then there are sole proprietors, because they also are companies. Then there are partnerships that are also startups. So being a startup is that you are between maybe the first year to 5 years. But of course, they also look at your turnover in terms of profit and sales within the course of the year for you to graduate from being a startup to being a normal company. However, the laws are the same in Uganda, and I think with the policies that are being passed, there's a startup policy that is being developed for East Africa. But currently, we use the same laws. If you're running a business, um, the easiest way that you can say I am a startup is just register a business name. When you register a business name, it is the cheapest. In Uganda, it's only 50,000 Ugandan shillings, which is maybe like 20 $25, and you say you are legally registered. What startups now do is that there's something that they have created, which the incubators that have been created, incubator spaces that have been created, you just occupy a desk and you start from there. But when the whole incubation system already has documents that you can use to support you, for example, they have licenses of operations, they have TIN numbers, they have. So for you, you fall under that incubator. And there are quite many platforms that have been created. Just to mention some of it, the Stanbic Incubator, they have a working space for startups, and they can take in as many as possible. There's Motive, there's Innovation Village. There are quite a number of those that are protected under the startup, because when you start now wanting to comply immediately, There's a lot of money that is involved. Of course, legal fees, lawyers charge a lot of money in addition to that. But for you, when you're just starting up your business, they require you to register. That will cost you maybe 350. You get a team. Teams are free of charge because eventually you start paying taxes. They are tracking you. Then you have a trading license. Then you have compliances. You have NSSF. You have pay. So there's like over maybe 20 compliance stages that you go through. Whether you're a startup or not, you are not protected. You just have to limit the compliances that you're able to take in a step at a time. Because like getting a tin, if it is free of charge, get it. If you're not yet making profits, they are not going to tax your sales. They're going to tax, like they put taxes on profits. So if even if you're just filing returns, you can file new returns, but you are already complying with URA. So the startup, there is no specific law that is there for startups. We all use the Companies Act, we all use the Contracts Act, we all use the Consumer Protection Act, we all use the Competition Act. Whether you're a startup or a large company, you will find yourself catered for within those laws.
Oh, good. And Blessing, how we can improve the life of young entrepreneurs in Uganda and in Africa in general way? Like how we can make the life better? Because we know for our countries, all countries in the world, either this country that they have like the biggest economy in the world, it is necessary you develop the private sector. And looking here in Africa, a lot of young African people they want to be able to have their own company, their own startups, and deliver service or creating product that they are made by African and for African to help the country. But a lot of us we found a lot of difficulty in the way to build this startup and finance. I think financial is one of the biggest, how we can get funding, how we can get grants to run our business, and the mentorship and etc. I want to know, with all this year of experience that you have in law and helping African entrepreneur, how we can make the life better for us, creating like law policy, how our countries they can contribute that we can have more task force for the private sector, creating a made African product, not only for Uganda, but imagine someone that I'm creating something in Uganda, but I can be able to reach my product to Angola because Uganda is the east, Angola is in the southern Africa, and me as Ugandan, for example, I want that my product to go to Angola and Angolan people they can buy and use my product. The same as me here in Angola. I want to like that my product can go until Uganda and the people there use. How we can do that? What is the best way for us?
Okay, so I'm going to highlight four things. Of course, that this list is not limited because there's so many things that different states can do. The first thing is that the governments need to give incentives to startups. When I'm setting up my business and I have 1 million Ugandan shillings, let me just compute it to maybe dollars. If I say that I have $300 to start this business, that's all I have. That's where I'm going to buy a computer. That's where I'm going to start coding. That's where I'm going to start training. That's where I'm going to do so many things. But all these compliances come at a very high cost, and therefore it discourages people to even comply because there is no money. So I'll just keep hiding and saying, no, you see, this is a side business. I'm not earning a lot of money from it. So there's one thing that governments need to do, and I think they are capable of doing it because I'll give an example of Uganda. The Ugandan government is already giving so many incentives for people that are investing billions and billions in the economy. That means that they can give that incentive. They just choose whom to give it. Now, imagine if they gave that incentive and they said, we've given you between 3 to 5 years to comply. We've given you incentives, we've trained you, these are our officers, just come in and get licenses. And then after 5 years, you start paying for the renewals of those licenses. Imagine how many people would jump on that wagon and be able to comply and be competitive in nature. That is not being done. Number two is that the startups have a problem of access to finance, affordable finance. You're going to go to a bank. They'll ask you for collateral, which you do not have, land titles that you do not have. The interest rate is so high, so high, that even when you're borrowing, you're saying, now I have my bicycle. If this interest is this high, tomorrow they'll be selling my bicycle. The financing is very commercial banks, because this is a liberalized economy. Yes, the Bank of Uganda can put a minimum and a maximum, but within the playing of those rates, it is still very high for them to access affordable finance. Now, there are grants that can be put, startup grants. It can even be called uh, rotational revolving grant. You get, I get, you return, I pick the same, so that these people have money to use. I was talking to someone recently, and they said, "But we give you this money, and you make mistakes and you lose the money." I think being a startup has taught me that people should be given an opportunity to fail. It does not necessarily mean that when I start up a business, it will eventually succeed. Maybe I started coding, or maybe I didn't get clients. Maybe you got money. So there has to be money that is available to assume that these people can fail a business, they can start again until they start a business that can survive. All of us that have started businesses, there are people that have run 20 businesses, and eventually now they've settled on the 21st, but then they had failed on all the 20s, using money, using resources. As long as I am able to build my resources, as long as I'm able to tell my story, as long as you see that this business has potential of growth, it does not automatically make it possible for it to grow. So the whole concept of, we will give you our money and you will lose it. How many governments have borrowed money and they have not even returned it? It's not that they did not give them the allowance to get that money, they're still even borrowing up to now. So that's another thing that needs to be put in place. Startups, I think Tunisia and Senegal are mainly the only countries that I know in Africa that have startup acts, because they have realized that these startups are very unique in nature. They need to be catered for in a way that builds them to be able to grow from one level to another. Uganda doesn't have a startup act. We are still using the same. The directors have to have this shareholding, they have to contribute this nominal capital, they have to do this. So there is need for us to be able to pick lessons from countries that are succeeding at growing their startups, so that you don't reach 15 years and you're still calling yourself a startup. At what level do you graduate from being a startup to saying, okay, I have completely failed, I've given up, I've gone back to employment, formal employment, or I have decided to grow, I'm making profit, I am working up and being scalable in nature. That's another thing that can be done to startup. Startups are heavily regulated and yet they are not protected. You're telling startups about intellectual property. You're telling startups about copyrights. Those things are very expensive and they're very technical in nature. I do not know. For me, I like people. There's someone I know who's a programmer. Every day he has a new thing that she has put up. He says there's this app that I've developed. He says there's this. Young people are mainly the ones that define startups. When you look at the rates, I think 70% are actually young people. Young people's brains are always working on something. But tomorrow, I will think I'm going to go get money from a company, and they'll steal my idea. And because for them they have money, they'll go ahead and protect it, then they will decide to just take me out of the system and I cannot do much. How are these startups protected? How are they protected? How are they being supported? If you identify that in an incubation system, there are startups that are innovating very many interesting things, how are you protecting them? How are musicians even being protected with their copyrights? They're writing songs, they are coming out with different beats, and tomorrow you will hear all the eight musicians with the same line of songs, just changing one word, but when it was started up by someone. So there's a need for intentionally protecting the startups to a level where they can be able to protect themselves. Lastly, there is what they call an environment that engages startups in partnerships. But startups have thought that if I am selling honey, I am the only one selling honey. I was listening to a podcast where someone says that competition is for people at the bottom, collaboration is for people who want to go far. So if you are just in a honey business and you can only produce 8 jerrycans of honey, and you reach out and someone says, I want 150, you're stuck with it. You even miss out money just because you're saying, no, this is my deal. I'm the one who brought it. Because the environment has not harnessed the opportunity of partnerships. And when we talk about partnerships, we're also talking about partnerships with government, partnerships with incubation centers, partnerships with people that are doing greater things within the same value chain. So there's need for governments and also private players, because I know they are capable, to put up places of collaboration. Not look, if just because I am a skilled person, it doesn't mean that I need to work under you. I can be a startup but supporting you within the ecosystem to provide a service that you need. So those are a few things that I can talk about, but I feel like the government is not entirely to blame, because for them they're politicians, they're just looking for ways of getting back in office. I feel that the private players can come on board to be able to support, even as we push the governments to be able to support, to create conducive environments for the growth of the startups, not just in Uganda but the rest of Africa, because we face the same challenges as startups. Yes.
Uh, wow, blessing. Let me say that I learned so many things, like really, really so many things with you, and I think a lot of them I will take and make into my project. I will try to look for more partnership to grow my business, either with the government, with incubator, and etc. For example, here in Angola, we have few incubator. They're not like too much, and our startup ecosystem it is small. We need to grow a lot. And another problem that we have here is the language barrier, because here we speak Portuguese, and it is very difficult to find the opportunity for Portuguese speakers African countries. It is more easy for French, those that they speak French, or those that they speak English. They can like found the more easy opportunity that they are out there. But the content, either the content in Portuguese is not like too much. And I really learned a lot with all that you said today. And I agree with you about the law. Oh, something that's very important that you said is about the artist. Like here in Angola, this happened a lot. Someone they play a song, they have like good rhythm, and you will listen more three, four, more three, four people with the same thing, and sometimes they will only change one word, like one, two words. It's like, okay, I think I know this song. Some we don't know about it. We really don't know about the law and how we can protect ourselves. And I think it is very important we know about it. And we are in the last few minutes for our podcast today, and blessing was amazing have you here, and I will invite you more to talk more about the law and how we can improve our continent and get more opportunity for young people. Always when we are at the end of the program, I like to ask the guest, in this case you, to recommend someone to come to maybe the next episode or another one. And I want you to take like few seconds, try to think who this person can be. I want you to say the name of the person, the country that this person is from, and why you think that this person need to come here and share their insight, their journey with us?
Thank you. That's a difficult one. I would like to recommend three people. So you will pick you will pick whom you want with the three people, but I am going to pick them uniquely because of the things that I know that they are doing, and because I know they're in different spaces but doing amazing things, and it would be great to listen and hear from them. So the first person that I'm going to pick is Martha. Martha is from Namibia. She's an economist. But the last time we had a discussion, she said she's going to start a tourism company. I want to go to Namibia, so I want to know the update on how far she has gone to start the tourism company. The second person that I would recommend is Robert. Robert is from Kenya. But currently, he's actually doing his master's in Rwanda. I would want to know his experience on what he's doing and if he's doing any impactful things there. But I know he's also in tech, and we are moving to a digital era, and there's a lot of input that comes with the tech. So I would want to know how he's participating in that ecosystem. The last person is Sharon, who's also from Kenya. And I know that she's an architect, but she's doing a lot on environment preservations with the products that she's doing. And I believe that with whatever is happening and the climate and everything, there's a lot of sensitivity and the need for people to be sensitized on how they can do their projects, make money, but also be able to conserve the environment. So those are the three that I have picked off head. I hope that you will give them a chance to be hosted on this amazing podcast because I've loved each and every bit of it. But yeah, you have the pick. So
I will talk with the three of them, and I will bring the three of them here.
nice,
I
that's good
will.
to know.
I will. For our last minute blessing, I want you to leave an advice for young African entrepreneurs, uh, especially in Uganda and in general in Africa.
Yeah, so this is what I can leave, and it's something that I know I've discussed with you before on the platform that we're trying to create, the African platform that we're trying to create for the compliance for these African entrepreneurs. I just want you to imagine an environment where you can easily comply. And if you cannot, actually, do not hesitate and say, I'm in Angola. You see, that lady who was talking is from Uganda. Just reach out to me. For me, I will just go through, comb your laws, and help you be able to comply. Like I said, partnerships and collaborations over competition. What is your potential? What is that one thing that you're good at? And have you identified a circle of friends that are also good at something that you're not good at so that you collaborate together? Do not compete at your young stage of business. It is okay for you to handle particular things, but try to identify people that can pour into your business something that you don't know. If you know a finance person and you're not good with finances, reach out to them. Tell them, okay, I do not have a lot of money, but I know that you have this. This is what I can offer you. Is it possible for you to help me put my books in order? If people are willing to even volunteer with you as you grow, it is a good thing. So let's try as much as possible to leverage on the potentials that we have. Let's leverage on other people's potentials. Let's have a willingness to learn. Let's also accept that it is okay to fail sometimes. You can fail, but the bad thing is when you fail and you keep down. You fail, what matters is how many times you've picked yourself up and pushed yourself to another level. So let's be Africa is a team. Let's be a team. Let's not divide ourselves. Someone said that some people came from different countries and divided us and said this is where Angola stops, this is where Kenya stops. But for us, we don't cease to be black people. Let's support one another. Let's reach out when we need help. Let's collaborate. Let's try as much as possible to grow through the ecosystem. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Amazing. Thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you so much. We have a very amazing conversation. As I said, I will invite you more to talk for with me, and to give us more advice about how we can navigate in the law, mainly for those that they want to follow the path as an entrepreneur. Blessing, thank you so much. And
Well,
for yeah, yeah, you can say
welcome. Thank you so much for hosting me. I have had so much fun. 1 hour is a very short period of time. I think
yes,
you should give us a full day so that we can talk about so many things. Yeah, but I've had a lot of fun and I can't wait to listen to what other people have to share. I've been having a lot of fun with the previous speakers, and I know that you have a lot beautiful things in stock for us. So I will ask people to follow so that everyone can get to benefit from all the continents will be here. 54 countries, everyone will get to speak. So we get to hear different experiences from different countries.
yes. This is the goal. This is the goal. Thank you so much. You can share with all people that they can listen and learn with us and learn with our brothers and sister experience. Thank you, blessing for the people at home. Thank you so much for listening to us, and until the next roadmap episode. Bye bye. Bye bye, blessing.
Bye.